Hey guys, welcome back to DadVGirls After Hours. This is a very, very special episode and we are very, very excited to have a power couple here in the studio with us. You have probably, in fact, you've definitely seen them on your TV screens before. Specifically this morning, you guys have been resident therapists on there for over 15 years now. Is that correct?
Years, yeah.
And I would say that the thing that I feel like you guys are most known for is helping people to overcome their phobias.
That
specifically. That's the thing that I've always thought about when I think about you guys. And you're experts in human psychology, and the work that you're doing is essentially transforming people's lives, giving them hope again. And it's just absolutely incredible. So we're really excited to have you. Yes, very excited to have you guys here. But yeah, I mean, if someone stopped you guys and they didn't know who you are, you're at a dinner party and said, what do you guys do?
We help people to feel better. That is literally it. You know, we help people overcome issues. I don't think anybody is born, you know, with any anxieties or fears or PTSD or OCD or eating disorders. And so what we actually do is help them to be the person that they were supposed to be prior to whatever happened to them to create their issue.
And I think that's the key thing in the fact that sadly we live in a world where symptomatic behaviour gets treated as opposed to people saying, when did it change for you? What was that day that something happened to you and it all changed?
Yeah.
Right? Because no one's born with any issues. And that's what set me off on my journey, which is, let me think now, it's 44 years ago, believe it or not.
Really?
Because I couldn't understand why people had issues that held them back in life. And my dad, I'm going right back here now, my dad was in the Welsh Guards in World War II. And he had PTSD. Back then it was known as shell shock. And I didn't understand some of the traits that he had because he was the nicest man on the planet. A bit like your dad, actually, right? Similar people. And he had these, and I was like, why is that? And obviously he said to me, because of the war. And, you know, it was a situation in life where we had to go and do things that we had to do, whether we liked it or not. And that was, so for me then it was like, okay, there's always a starting point as opposed to dealing with the symptomatic behaviour.
Can I just say, did you notice he asked a very simple question and we went on one for ages?
Yeah.
No, that's brilliant.
I love it.
No,
I love it.
Can I tell you?
Yeah.
That I cannot tell you how many people have come up to me over my life and said, so what were you called before?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? And they said, well, Speakman, obviously.
Your
Because
surname, yeah.
Right? And I'm like, no.
It just
I've just morphed into the surname.
Joe, just give me, you know, if he's gone a bit, just give me that kind of a nod and I'll reel him in.
No, I think you mentioned about Sarah's dad. So actually, I don't know if we mentioned this on the podcast before.
Think we did. Yeah,
but
we did,
if you didn't hear that episode, so, I mean, our viewers will know that Sarah's dad has always struggled with a fear of being sick. And that also comes with other phobias like fear of flying and claustrophobia, elevators, just lots of different things. And it's just always been a thing that he's struggled with for as long as he can remember. And pure coincidence, nothing to do with you guys being here, but Sarah's sister Emma booked for Pete to come to your, would you call it a masterclass?
Yeah, it's emetophobia masterclass that he came to.
And that was like a few weeks ago that he came. So obviously he met you guys, and it was an incredible experience for him.
Yeah,
and
he's doing amazing. He really is. He's trying
what
so
a change
hard. Yeah.
since he came to see you guys. Like, I mean, we know Pete, and it's normal to us, like his phobias and the things that he does. But like seeing him now, he's challenging everything, and it's just been absolutely mind blowing. And I mean, a masterclass is, how long's a masterclass?
It's 4 hours.
So it's 4 hours, right? But you have people who leave there completely changed. Like,
we do.
What is happening? Like,
Yeah,
how
I
is
mean,
that?
We have people that leave that are totally overcome emetophobia.
Yeah.
You know, and I think one of the highlights I would say is we had a lady who suffered with emetophobia for 57 years, and she left a masterclass totally cured, totally over
and
it.
is to this day. I
And
know
this
she
is-
keeps in touch, but it's so lovely to do, because I think that people that have emetophobia and people that have, I think, a lot of anxiety disorders think this is it. I've got to live with this for life. I've just got to manage the symptoms, and actually, that's not the case.
And interestingly, that you say, Joel, that he had all these other phobias, and people with emetophobia will get diagnosis for generalized anxiety disorder. They get
OCD.
an OCD because obviously the excessive
cleaning,
cleaning,
yeah.
because they're worried about
Correct.
getting germophobia, aerophobia, fear of flying.
ARFID, which is avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, and that's what they get diagnosed with. But actually what it is that they're not avoiding food because they don't want to eat. They're avoiding foods that they class as danger foods, like chicken. They obsess about use-by dates, for example, and throw things away. Like they've got to be thrown away even 24 hours, 48 hours before.
Yeah, that's how I
Yeah.
was brought up in my house.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were
so-
talking-
You see, I dare I say it, I remembered the times where there was no use by dates or sell by dates. It was the sniff test.
Yeah.
I mean, I still
and
do
it still
that.
applies.
Oh, I mean, the
yeah.
amount-
If it smells good and looks good,
No,
I'm eating
the amount of times
it.
I've thrown
Right?
chicken in the bin in date, but I'm like, I think it smells a bit funny. It's going in
But
the
chicken
bin.
always smells a little bit funny
Sarah,
when you
can I
first
tell
open
you,
it.
I've had chicken 2 days. 2 days out a date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Still
mean,
eating it.
I've
been
got to say,
fine.
Nick's a
Yeah.
bit braver than me. We
Yeah,
found,
Joe's very brave.
well, we moved house,
Oh,
and we
right.
found, and we say we've been together, believe it or not, like 35 years, married for 30, coming up, and we moved house. And when we moved house, we found like this dodgy tin of soup.
Oh, it wasn't dodgy. It was a tin of soup. You know, like back. There's always some stuff
Yeah.
at the back of the cupboard that you can't
we found
reach.
it. I don't even
Didn't
know if
realise
it
it's
was
been there for a
ours.
few years.
I'm not
this
even
one,
sure
yeah.
if it was ours. I'm not sure even if the
Yeah.
former tenant
No,
had
it was
it.
definitely ours. Yeah.
And it was like, I want to try that. And I was like, are you for real? And I think it was about 11 years out of date, something
Yeah.
like that. It had something on it. And you opened it, didn't you?
Yeah, give it a try. Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
great, to be honest.
I mean, I have a theory. If it's in a tin, does it ever go out of date?
Well,
I don't
Well,
know.
actually, it started to taste metallic.
Oh,
Right,
Yes.
and when I got
Okay.
that metal taste, I thought, no, I'll leave this.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
But you know, it's one of the exceptions. But
So sorry,
God, no,
I was saying, when you guys met, was you already doing this, or you,
Nick was,
how-
I
Yeah.
wasn't. Yeah, Nick already was, I wasn't. And Nick always sort of jokes that I was the biggest project that he's ever worked on, because I'd
Still
had
is, really.
Yeah, I faced quite a lot of challenges. And as a young girl, you know, I had an eating disorder. I had a phobia of heights, spiders, claustrophobia. I had PTSD because before meeting Nick, I was in a sort of quite a violent relationship, which ended with my skull being fractured. And so I'd had quite a lot of challenges. Bullied at school, so, you know, really low self-esteem. I'm quite shy, really, because I was frightened of speaking, because I was frightened of being judged. So when we got together, and I was like, why would he want to date me? What I actually did at the beginning of our relationship was that sort of stereotypical, when you don't feel good, you self-sabotage, you try and you do everything, you know, you do everything you can to break that relationship up, because you're thinking it's not going to last anyway. But he held in there. Good boy. Well done.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, if I'm, being honest here, I was looking for some work and you were a good project.
Yeah.
And he can take you around now and say, look what I...
Look what I did.
Look at this. This
Yeah,
is what
actually.
I created earlier.
Actually, I think I overdid it because I can't get a word in. You know?
But yeah, going back to your dad, by the way, I must tell you what a lovely guy.
Oh.
He's
Oh.
so
No, he said the
nice.
same
Love him
about
so
you
much,
guys.
honestly.
So
Yeah.
nice, and it was so lovely that I'm so pleased to hear that he's doing well.
Yeah.
And it's always lovely to hear when people come to our masterclasses, that transformation. And yes, some walk out completely sort of over their issue, but what they definitely walk out with is the recipe of what you need to do
Yeah.
to get better, because that's literally, we don't get taught, well, if you've got this issue, this is what you should do to help overcome it. And going back to what you asked, Joel, right at the beginning about, what do we do? We're giving people that recipe, at the very least, the recipe in steps to start to overcome whatever it is that's
I think I always like to think that, we hope is what keeps us all going. Right? If you think about it, why, every day we hope that something's going to happen, something isn't going to happen. Hope is so important. And a lot of people have had hope taken away from them because they get told, and look, this is no one's fault. This is just that, how things are, that, right, okay, you've got that, and PTSD in particularly, and we have, the honour of working with quite a lot of people in the forces, that to be told that, you were okay, you got deployed, you came back, you saw things that you should never have seen, and now you're struggling with those images that you've got in your mind, and you're having flashbacks, and you'll have this for the rest of your life, but you can manage it. And that is taking hope away from people, and it's not true.
Yeah.
It's not true, because if you didn't used to have those images, you can lose them. You can, if you don't, I always say that if you weren't born with something, you certainly do not have to live with it. But and that's the biggest message that I've just wanted to give throughout my life, that you do not have to struggle, you do not have to suffer,
You can get better.
and you can get better. And you know what? The only variable is how long that's going to take. Right, but never, ever, ever lose hope.
Yeah.
So if I was to look at Sarah's dad, Pete, and knowing him all the years I've known him, and seeing how deep rooted this phobia and everything is,
Yeah.
The typical, like, sort of, your brain would say, okay, maybe there's hope through years of therapy and, just countless hours. Like, how can you take someone in a 4-hour session from 57 years that lady had emetophobia to cured? Like, how does this happen?
Can I give you? Do you want to go?
Well, I mean, I know it sounds like in 4 hours, but it's sort of like 40 years of experience working with people, and trying to condense it to give people the information. In the way, if you said to me now, well, Nick, I've heard that you can make the best chocolate cake on the planet. And I'll go, yeah, Joel, I've been spending 40 years on this recipe, and I keep changing it, and now it's fabulous, and it's the best cake in the world. And you go, I'd like to do that. And I go, okay, here's my recipe. Right? You could do it in the afternoon. I've spent 40 years putting that together, but you can do it in the afternoon. And that's why we're called the Masterclasses, because we're sharing this information. Now, you can, and we're all different. So we have people in the room, and some people go, I've got it, and they can do it, and they're over it. Some people will try it, and they'll get, it's like making anything. If you put a little too much of that ingredient and not enough of that ingredient, you'll feel better, but it won't be totally right.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it does
I
make
bet you
sense.
love that analogy. Joel loves.
I love an analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything I try and explain, I find, and it's sometimes very random.
Do you like chocolate cake? Did I pick the right cake?
Yeah, I mean, I do like chocolate cake. So
Joel's like the most easiest person, like the easiest going. He doesn't have any fears. He doesn't have any worries.
That's a bit like Nick.
He's been kidnapped and it doesn't affect him.
I got kidnapped at gunpoint, right? And bundled into the back of a car, handcuffed.
It was a mistaken identity.
How long ago?
I had a gun. This was.
Well, I was pregnant with Grace about 18 years ago.
Yeah, 18 years ago, and I had a gun in my mouth, right? And somehow I walked away from that, and I tell it as a humorous story, like I've told it on the podcast
he's
before.
He's lying because he's like, there's no emotion.
I didn't think that happened in the UK. So.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys after the pod, because we have spoken about it. It's quite a long story.
Okay.
But the long story short is that it was a mistaken identity. There was a person that lived next door to this place where I worked, and he was a drug dealer. He owed people money, and they basically had like paid people to come and collect the debt, and they had got me mistaken with him, so they basically.
He was a good-looking guy as well.
The weird thing is, I was like 19 and I looked 12, and this guy, when I saw a picture of him from the police, was like 30 something, like couldn't look any different. I was like, I was saying the guys who paid those guys to get the money, they need a refund, right? Because that was the most terrible bodge job I've ever seen. But
did they ever get caught?
They never got caught. No, they never got caught. And it's like my sister, who wasn't even there, was more affected by it than me.
But
just
I
from
know,
knowing it.
I know.
Let me ask you a question then. What was the worst bit for you? Right, I know you said it's a long story. And
I know exactly what the worst bit was.
Right, tell me.
The worst bit. So I stayed very, very calm, because I'm a very logical thinker. In my head, I was like, as soon as I realised what was going on, because they were calling me by this name, and they said, we know about the drugs, the money, this. I was like, oh, you got the wrong person. I can explain this. Honestly, we can sit down, we can talk this through. Big misunderstanding, we can have a laugh, right? But they just wouldn't believe me. And it was going on and on and on. I'm thinking, it's going to be okay, because they don't actually want me. They just haven't realised it yet. But then they went to put me in the boot of, because they stole my car and drove me around. They went to put me in the boot of the car, and it was a convertible BMW. So the boot is completely closed off from the rest of the car. And they were trying to put me in this boot, and I freaked out, and I started pushing back, and I was just like, at this point I've been, whatever you guys want. And at this point I was like, absolutely not. And somehow they stopped. They didn't put me in the boot of the car, and I don't know why. And that was the bit where I really needed, because I thought, well, at that point I might never come out of there.
And
how? Just telling me that now. How does that make you feel? Do you get any emotion at all?
No, I don't. No, I don't know if
do you
it's
have claustrophobia or anything?
No, I have
nothing. Honestly,
I don't know if it's because of my ADHD. Like, I have ADHD, and I don't know. My brain is wired different, and I don't hold on to traumas and things.
Yes and no. The difference here is whether you've got ADHD or not. The only reason that this doesn't affect you today is because at no point did you think I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And then if anybody was onlooking and thought that he was going to die, that could affect your sister, you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't
that's
sleep
the person
until
affects.
he's
Yeah,
until
that
he's
then
home
makes
now.
sense, because even when I had a gun in my mouth, right, I still didn't truly believe that I was going to die.
And that's why you don't have PTSD.
And that's it, because statistically, 1 in 3 people, if 3 people witness an event, 1 of them will get PTSD. And for me, I was always interested, not talking to the person with PTSD, talking to the 2 that didn't have it. Why did you not get it? And that person did. Right. And that was starting off, that was always my mission, to ask people how they didn't get something in a certain situation, or how they managed to overcome something in other situations on their own. Because a lot of people overcome issues just with time. So with you, and the difference was that if even for 1 second you think you're going to die, right there, you'll get PTSD.
Yeah.
Right. I see. Okay, that does make a lot of sense.
So,
then.
So how did that conclude? So they're saying you want to get in the car, you don't get in the car. Then how does this whole event end?
Then we go into these woods. And they all
walking. Are you in the car? What?
So they
handcuffed.
So basically, put I had something over my head, so I couldn't see.
Right, okay.
The reason also that I knew I wasn't going to die, right, is so I've got asthma, right, and I always carry an inhaler, and I was handcuffed and in the back of the car, and I didn't need my inhaler, but I said to the guy who was in the back of the car with me, the other 2 were driving, and there was 2 other cars following. I said, I really need my inhaler. I can't breathe. And he gave me my inhaler, and I didn't need it. For me, that was like a test of like,
yeah.
Do you
nice
care?
Bad guy.
Is there is there any like human empathy, compassion? And he gave me my inhaler, and I was like, in my mind, I was like, they don't want me. He gave me my inhaler. Like, I don't know. Sarah always says it. She's like, you're so easygoing. You always think everything's going to work out. It's never anything bad's going to happen. And I think in that situation, that's just my thinking. So,
and I'm in every scenario thinking something bad is going to happen. I've had you be kidnapped. I've lost my brother. I'm like, bad things happen. It could happen at any point.
Yeah.
Right, but I've got to ask, so tell me about your parents then.
Are they really chill?
easygoing?
Yeah. I'd say they are. Yeah, very.
Right.
Yeah.
So the question is,
in that situation, obviously they were petrified.
of course,
but
any parent,
But
so there's your answer. So why do you have the accent that you do? It's because
was that a question?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'm going to ask you the question.
Yeah.
Go on then.
Come on.
Because of where, like, my environment where I grew up.
Correct.
et cetera, yeah.
Correct. So your environment was obviously very zen and chill and sort of laid back. Whereas if you're more, you said that things go wrong, more anxious, then I'm guessing that your environment, you grew up in an environment where there was more upset and anxiety.
Yeah. Well, my brother passed away when he was a baby. So obviously I was only 1 myself, so I don't remember it.
No.
But family members said that my mum and dad completely changed after that. So I can only imagine. And then we had my brother, Mickey, who then was just like this angel baby for all of us. He was the prince. So there was like a real special thing about him. I don't know, growing up. So that we were always petrified that we might lose him. I don't know. So, yeah.
And then that fear did
happened.
come true. So it's a very different experience for you than it was.
Yeah.
And then obviously you've got your lovely Peter there, who's got emetophobia as well. So
she's had since 6 or 7. He said he thinks he remembers it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So when you, I mean, it's just like when you grow up around anxious people, you don't know, and you don't know often why they're anxious, but you just pick up on those feelings and you become the same.
Yeah.
You don't, as kids, we don't question it. And phobias, anxieties, they are copied.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't say my mum is an anxious person. Would you say my mum's an anxious person? I know, like, at night, like, she doesn't like to have, like, babies or children when they're young because of what happened to my brother, but I wouldn't say day to day she's an anxious person. I feel...
No, I wouldn't say so. I think she's still... Yeah, I don't know. She's,
but do you know what,
I don't think
Sarah,
you would know.
Even that, if someone displays a behaviour that isn't like the norm as such, you just drop your kids off and that's it, and there's an issue, then, you become aware of those issues.
And I think with the most impressionable years, by the way, are sort of between the ages of 3 and 15.
Yeah.
Those are the most impressionable. So we tend to, as children growing up, that's when we start to... So if your mum lost a baby when you were 1, then of course she doesn't outwardly, might not be hugely anxious, but she may be overprotective.
Yeah.
If one of her children cries or falls, she may go running, which then gives the message that, the world is a fragile and scary place to be.
She did say that when she had Mickey, my brother, that when he got to about 9 months, she actually had a bit of a breakdown. And the doctor had said it's because she's got past the point of where my previous brother had passed.
Because she's got this expectation. She doesn't want anything to happen to him, but she has this expectation that it's happened before.
Yeah.
So it could again. And that's why we're saying about we're not born with these issues. What actually happens is life happens.
Yeah.
And then we create these beliefs, these awarenesses, these fears.
It's essentially we create what's known as a schema, and that's a reference that sits there then for future behaviour.
It's like an app that you put on your phone, I guess, metaphor. And you put this app on your phone, and then, so for example, your mum had a baby app, and every time she has even one of your children and it's a baby, this app opens and goes, don't have them at night because that's when...
Because it shows the issue and the hurts.
Yeah.
So how do you actually then come and tackle that when you're working with someone?
We find what it is.
Yeah, and that's our key, because when we talk to someone and we find out, okay, we know that you weren't born with this. That's always the starting point. When people go, yeah, but some people go, well, it's genetic because my dad had or my mum had the same thing, and it's like, no, it's not genetic. It's copied. As you know. So when did it start for you? And if it started through copying a parent, then obviously we've got to look at, right, okay, so what we've got to do is change that schema, and we change that through cognitive restructuring. So what we're doing is giving you alternatives for you to consider that will put it into perspective. And I think the best way to demonstrate that is to talk to you, Sarah. Right? Obviously, right, is take a hypothetical situation or an analogy. Why don't we talk to you about the issue that, obviously, that you
That's
had.
If you want to, of course.
If you want to. And then we can, talk about it. And then you can not only, you can see the process, but hopefully you'll feel better at the end of it. How about that?
Yeah.
I'm really glad you didn't get in that boot, by the way, because one of my, I love the film Goodfellas. Right? Do you remember that boot scene? Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't get in that boat as well.
To the end of the story,
sorry.
I'm absolutely fascinated as to. So you're in the ward. You've got a bag on your head.
They at this point they surround. There was 8, 9 of them. They surrounded me, and I'm handcuffed. Obviously, very vulnerable, and they're just throwing questions and they just do not believe that I'm not this person, and they're saying we know about this and we da 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 da, and I'm just trying to explain to all of these people, and they're getting more and more irate, and I'm thinking like they're gonna kick my head in now, and they all of a sudden just went police, 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 and I didn't hear a single thing, right? And I don't know what you guys believe about miracles or anything like this, right? But I mean, my family were just like praying like mad, everyone. And I believe there was some type of miracle, because there was no noise. We're in the middle of the woods. There was no sirens, nothing. And one of them said that they heard sirens and there was police. So They're like, run. So they're running with me. They've sort of grabbed me by the arms. We're running into the woods more. And then one of them was just like, just leave him. And they just let go. And I just then run off in the other direction.
And do you still have the bag on your head at this point or no?
No, so that was only when we were driving. Okay. So
Did the bag had already come off?
I don't.
You still got the handcuffs on, haven't you?
I got the handcuffs on. No bag on my head. I don't know where I am because I had a bag over. Well, I think they put like a jumper or something over my head when we were driving. So I don't know where we are, and I can sort of hear like a road. So I'm running through this woods, through this field, and then end up on the road, and I recognise where I am, and then I start knocking on people's doors. But I don't know. It must have been midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. No one's answering the door. This bus stops at a bus stop, so I literally run on the bus. I said to the guy, I've been kidnapped, call the police, He's like, oh, I'm being pranked, I'm on TV. He's looking for the cameras.
No
he does not take me seriously. I'm like, no one today believes me about anything I say. I'm like, it's not a prank, it's not a joke. He's like, good one, where's the cameras? I'm like, you are shitting me. And as I'm saying this, like a police car drives past, I jump off the bus, wave the police car down, they pull over. They're like, every unit, because Sarah actually witnessed me being kidnapped. But saying that, the thing that we're going to talk about with Sarah came before that, which is such a weird coincidence, but it probably did reinforce it. But yeah, Sarah had actually witnessed it happen at the doorstep, because when I came home from work, she heard a noise. I'm being bundled into the back of the car. And then we sped off.
So it wasn't at work, it was when you came home from work.
It's when I came home from work. They'd actually been following me for like 6 months. There was all this stuff where we suddenly remembered people being outside the house.
I kept calling the police because there was these boys with balaclavas. So it had built up, but we didn't know. And they actually, I thought it was because I had a nice new little Punto. I was like, they're after my nice car.
And they actually knew so much about me, but because they'd been like going through like our bins. But they had just like merged the two people into one. And the guy they
wanted lived next door?
Yeah, it was like a bed and breakfast next door to where I worked. It was actually a house that had been converted into like offices and stuff. There was a bed and breakfast next door. Not a bed and breakfast, like
hostel.
like a HMO type thing. And he basically lived there. I never met him.
Did you know? I'd be desperate to go around and meet him.
His mum came up to me. She saw me outside the work. She came up to me and she said,
I don't know how she would have known, but
I think she just felt so awful, and she came and apologised about it.
Yeah.
But so
and that was that. The police came and then
and I did all forensics. They never found anything, and
can you imagine that? Like you said, somebody that paid them, they've been following you for 6 months. That must have cost a fortune.
Yeah, I was just like, I can't believe how you got it so wrong. It was so. The whole thing was bizarre.
Wow.
But
that is rather unusual story. It's not something you hear every day at all.
It's my kind of conversation starter sometimes at a party. So
did it hit the news?
Weirdly, it never did. I thought it would have been newsworthy.
You would have hoped so.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm getting ready for my this morning interviews. And
while I was at the police kept just asking me, are you sure he's not a drug dealer? I'm like, I know, like he's not. Like this is not like obviously I have no idea why he's been kidnapped. In the moment, I've just seen him be shoved into the car. I hadn't seen the gun, so I was still scared, but I didn't see the gun. But
fortunately, though, because that would have been even more terrifying for everyone.
So
how long ago did this happen? Sorry, so
I 18. I was pregnant with Grace.
18 years.
Yeah, so 18 years ago. Yeah. But what was
so? What's your version of events, and how does it affect you? Like, what do you? Because obviously, Joel just told us his version of the story, but obviously yours was as an observer. So
so I was in bed. And Casey, our eldest, had woken up. So then I realised he wasn't there. So I gave a call and he's like, I'll be home in a minute. So the bedroom we was in was at the front of the house. So I saw his lights pull on and then I heard all this noise. So I got up and looked out the window and I saw these boys. So I ran downstairs, but we didn't have a stair gate at the time. So I took Casey with me, ran down the stairs, opened the door, and I just saw these boys and I just heard Joel screaming, shut the door, shut the door. So I quickly shut the door as they were driving off. I rang my mum and I just said gibberish down the phone, like, come here quick, Joel's been kidnapped, but so that I could then get off the phone and call the police, because they literally lived around the corner. Called the police were there in seconds. My mum and dad were there in seconds. And it was just in my front room, just waiting. Everyone was trying to tell me to calm down, not get too upset because I was pregnant. And they're like, you know, you can't, like, but I'm like, how can you not? And then.
And when you saw what was going on outside, in that moment, what were you thinking? What did you think was happening to him?
I thought he was going to die.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you've never actually, I've never even asked you that. I didn't even know that you actually thought that.
Well, I couldn't see an ending of that. You were anything, oh God. Well, how do I always cry?
Okay, so that moment when you had that thought, which I mentioned before, that he was going to die, exactly where were you at that point and what were you doing?
As in, when I thought...
When you had that thought, you know, when he first got kidnapped and you rang...
When I rang my mum, yeah.
Okay, so you're on the phone and at that point it came into your head that he's going to die.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, because I mean, Sarah's like shared it, and obviously we shared it with you guys before, but Sarah has a fear of the kids being taken. And I don't want to say for you, but you tell me, but I feel like even before this happened, that was there.
And I know why. Do you know why? Do you know why? Okay, we'll come back to that. I don't want to tell you too soon. Okay, so going back, so you thought you ring your mum, you think in that moment, I can't see how this is going to end.
Yeah, because I couldn't understand why they'd put you in the car, and there was no reason there was no rational reason in my mind why they would take him. Okay, you know, like we wasn't.
And what time of day was this approximately?
Oh, it was like gone midnight.
It was. So how long did the whole ordeal last till you got found?
I wouldn't even be able to say.
I want to say
hour.
Yeah, it wasn't. It actually wasn't. It was long, but not long.
I understand.
Like, it was very quick. The police were very good.
Yeah.
They had police out straight away, and I don't even know what he was because I couldn't take it all in. But a very high up guy just came straight away and was like,
they had helicopters and everything.
Yeah, they were really, really
there was
good.
Like every unit was.
How far away had they taken you?
So we lived in Chesterton. I ended up in Roehampton.
Well, like on the A3, like about 10, 15 minutes?
It's like, yeah, we stopped off somewhere else first, I don't know where, but where we ended up at that time of night, you probably could get there in like 15, 20 really minutes quick. Maybe.
Okay, so before we move on, Sarah, so when you see this happen, you get on the phone to your mum, you say, Joel's been kidnapped, that moment you think he's going to die. On a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the worst feeling ever, 0 being, Nick, I'm totally calm,
chill.
Nothing. Give me a score.
Right now.
Go
back there.
Yeah, I would have said 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I can see it in your face, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so how does that affect you now? You say, I know that you mentioned about the kids, but just give me...
I don't like to sleep without him in the bed. I can't really sleep without him in the bed. Mm-hmm. Not that he really goes out, but even if he's downstairs, I don't feel content. Okay. Like I don't feel like I can sleep properly, even if he's downstairs. Mm-hmm. But I would say overall, like if he went out for like a night out, I'm not worried. Mm-hmm. But I just won't really sleep until he's home, or if he's away. Like I'm shocked if I've had a good night's sleep, you know.
And what about the children? Because Joel said she has a fear of the kids being taken. So what's that all about? Tell us what that feels like. What happens? What does that look like?
Well, firstly, again, when I was saying about sleeping, I don't really sleep until everyone's home. Mm-hmm. And I can actually say out loud, like, everyone's home, they're safe, you can kind of sleep.
And that's every night?
Yeah, but Casey goes away quite a lot, so I check my phone, make sure it's on loud. Like, Grace went to a festival, so I just don't really sleep very well. But even if I take the kids out, and I don't see them literally for a split second, I'll be shouting like, where are they, like, and I go into full 0 to 100 in a millisecond that I think they've gone. Yeah. And I can't bear it.
Because I would say, like, you know, even if we're kind of all out together and we're all walking along, right, and say one of the kids might go behind, you know, they walk behind I'd say even like a tree, right? If they walk behind the tree and they didn't immediately come out the other side, it would be instant panic.
So I'm asking another question. How old were you, and this is quite important, how old were you when Joel was kidnapped?
Oh God, how old was I? 18 years ago.
You would have been...
Oh, I would have been 20.
20, yeah.
Because I'm 38.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So you were 20, and you had your first... When did you have Casey?
At 18.
At 18. And then... and how old were you when your brother died? Your older brother.
Mickey, I would have... Oh God,
about
ages.
24. It was after that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were
24.
about 24.
Yeah, it was just before our wedding, wasn't it? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so some of what you've said, by the way, you know, you're saying about your kids, like being at a festival and being away. I mean, as a close family, there is an element of normality.
That's what I'm trying to work out. Like, what is normal?
And
what
that's the
isn't?
thing. And it's interesting listening when you said about Lovely Pete, that when someone has got an issue, they even when they overcome that issue, they don't actually know what's now normal and what isn't. So like with your dad, for example, just using him as a very easy example, that your dad might be over emetophobia completely, and he probably is, but he actually doesn't realise it yet, because he might still look at food and just check if it's in date, but that's sort of quite normal in this day and age.
Yeah.
But he might think, oh, I wonder if that's still a bit of a emetophobia behaviour. But actually, that's what most of us do. And you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So you've been exposed to something, and there is an element of, like I said, especially when you're a close family, and especially your family, because your mum had a loss of a child at a young age. So
how old were you when she...
When
I would have been 1.
Yeah.
Right.
Nearly 2.
And what's your memory of that?
See, I can't pinpoint a memory other than there would be pictures of him, and in growing up there was a picture of him, and I always knew who he was and what had happened. But more to having Mickey, I just remember him being so special. It was grown up, and I don't remember anyone ever saying he was special, but I just knew he was special.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know, like.
But you, am I right in saying that you had a feeling that he wasn't always going to be here?
Yeah, remember I said to you, and I've never said it to my mum and dad, but I do remember feeling that. I can remember being in my bunk bed and thinking that he's not going to be here. But that happens to me like now, like at night, if we've had a day out, but all that goes on in my head is what bad could have happened. Or like if I think of like if I lose Joel or the girls or my mum or dad, like I don't think my heart can take it. Sorry.
It's okay. So you always had this feeling. Why do you think you always had that feeling? When was the first time?
I don't know why, but it must just be because he was special. Like I must have just known from Anthony dying that. You know.
But when did you first have that thought that I don't think Mickey's going to be here forever? When did you first have that thought? I
was a kid in my bunk bed. I don't know what age I was.
If you did know what age, what would you think it would be?
God, I must have been just before secondary school, so around 10, 11.
Okay.
And there was times that we would go on holiday, and we weren't used to, my dad was afraid of flying, so we didn't fly when we were younger, and he would go to caravan holidays, and he was allowed to kind of just go and play, but he would get lost, and it felt like, as a kid, I don't know the real truth to it, but it felt like he would every holiday go missing, and then this one time we couldn't find him for ages. My mum says like that I completely lost it. I was banging my head against things, like thinking that was it, we've really lost him. And then I think that's obviously continued with them, my children.
Okay. Yeah. But the interesting point here is that you're saying you don't know actually what happened, and that doesn't matter. The truth of it doesn't matter. He could have gone missing, right, and been found 5 minutes later, but you weren't told 5 minutes later that they found him, right? As far as you were concerned, he'd been missing for hours. And when you're at that age, you don't have the same concept of time. That as an adult, we can roughly at any point go, I think it's about X o'clock or whatever it might be, because we've got a concept of time. But when your brain's still developing and you're under the age of 15, you don't have that concept, which is why I'm sure you've had this experience because we had it with our kids, going somewhere, back of the car, are we there yet?
Yeah.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Because you don't have that concept, right? So as far as you were concerned back then, Sarah, that you'd lost Mickey.
Yeah.
So you'd lost him then, which is why you freaked out, right? And what I like to just think about, can you think about that time when you were in the caravan and you didn't think he was coming back? And when you think about that back then, 10 being the worst, 0 being I'm okay, Nick, how does that score?
Oh yeah, 10.
Okay.
I can remember me. I can remember me just running up and down that, and my mum was like, basically shouting that he's going to be okay. But to me it was 10. That was it.
Okay. And do you remember when you were first told about Anthony?
No, I really don't.
Okay. What's your how did you know then? How did you know that Anthony had passed? Or how do you know that he was ever here?
I just remember the picture in my front room of him laying on a blanket. That I have his blanket now. Yeah, that's the only thing I remember.
Okay.
And we had a photo album of him, so he was spoken about.
And what were you told?
That this was Anthony and he passed away as a baby. And
Okay.
I think probably not until I was a little bit older did I maybe really hear the story. I don't.
Okay. And when you, looking back, when you first heard the story, how what did it mean to you? Or did you understand? How did you understand it?
I think if I think about it, the only thing I can think is I think for my mum and my dad.
But what did you think happened to him? So he passed away. Well, but that surely wasn't.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? How did he pass away? What were you told?
I honestly can't remember until I cot death. I think we were always just told it was cot death,
And
yeah.
What does that mean to you?
What was the little Sarah? What does cot death, Mum?
He just died in his sleep.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Are you okay, by the way?
Yeah. Okay. I knew I'd cry.
She likes to cry on this podcast, Sarah does.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
You
for
got
being
me going
so
as well.
open.
Yeah, thank you. So just going back to how this affects you now, of the things that you struggle with. I know that. So if your daughter said, "Oh, by the way, Mum, I'm going to, I've just booked my friend's going to Germany, for example, for a long weekend, and I've decided I want to go with her." How do you feel about that?
I'm all for it. I'm happy for them to go.
Yeah.
And I want them to go.
But when does that anxiety kick in?
Yeah, straight away. And I'm already worried for them. And I have to tell myself, it's going to be okay. But I just won't sleep.
And that's tough, isn't it? Because you have this internal conflict, right? Because you always want the best for your kids, and you want to go, "Oh, that's amazing that you've been invited there. That's great. You'll have a great time." Oof, don't want you to go.
Yeah. Because Casey's had quite a few trips this summer. And I'm kind of like, oh gosh, can you just not go away? Because of the anxiety that I have. But I wouldn't let her know that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because she's got a great life. And I'm like, go and experience that. Do that. I'm the opposite. We've started noticing the more I talk about things that actually, so when we're on holiday, if it's a new place, I don't enjoy it till I'm home. And then once I'm home, I'm like, oh, that was a nice holiday. We should go back there.
Yeah.
Because it actually was really nice. But in the moment, I literally feel like my shoulders are here and I'm on edge.
Because
just because it's new, I'm scared.
Scared of
something going wrong, losing them. Like,
Okay.
I'd say like
losing
the kids.
It's the
like,
big thing.
Obviously there's the element of like Casey or Grace being away, but in terms of like when we're out, whether on holiday, we're in the airport, whether we're at a theme park or whatever.
And my stress levels
super
are
high
stress
alert.
and fear of losing the kids, and just it's constant for you, isn't it? And I feel like it must be so hard to enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's like if they're out of sight for a second.
Okay. So
a holiday isn't really a holiday for you.
Till you get home.
I mean, it's so bizarre that you go on holiday to relax and chill and enjoy things, but you don't allow yourself to have that because you've gone higher alert whilst you're there.
Yeah.
But you can enjoy it when you get home.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm like, oh, that was actually a really nice holiday.
Right. So, I mean, essentially, you must have anxiety every day.
Oh, yeah.
Every day. But then you go on holiday and it actually escalates and becomes worse.
Yeah. Or anywhere I'm out, though. We went to the farm and one kid went that way, one went the other way. You then was like, I can't find Maddie. I'm then freaking out. I'm then like, we are not going there again. That's obviously out of my control, so we're not going there again.
And how old are your two youngest?
So we've got nearly 4 and 7.
Okay.
And then Sophie has special needs.
Okay.
And to add to the loss, like we nearly lost her as a baby, and they told her she wouldn't live to be a teenager. She's got past that. She's 14. Well, she'd be 14 in January. But even that, like, as soon as she's ill, my mind goes into that is something
May
bad.
I ask what you were told? Why she wasn't going to live past that age?
They thought she had something called mitochondria disorder, and
Okay.
people that have that don't then live to be a teenager.
But she
didn't
doesn't have it.
It's really complicated because they tested it,
Exactly.
it was there. They tested it again, it wasn't there.
But at one point we were sat down by the doctor and said he wanted to set our expectations that she might not live to see her teens.
You see that? I mean, that what I was saying right at the beginning, that feeds right back to taking hope away, doesn't it? You know, there's certain expectations, but what if? You know, it's like someone said, well, you know, you've got 1% chance of getting through this. You can get through it. You can get through it, right? And I think that we taking that hope away. But anyway, again, you know, this is clear as day to me, and I know it's for you looking at this. It's no wonder you're struggling, Sarah.
I wake up in the night, and I was saying to Joel, like, I wake up in an anxiety attack that I can't even explain what my body's going through. I'm trying to understand so that I could explain to you, but it's like my body isn't like my body, and I can't sleep, but it's like a pain, but it's not a pain, but I can't.
I totally get it. How often do you say that you suffer with anxiety?
I would say it's there all the time.
Okay.
Like, what would you say? I tell you,
I feel like this is actually a massive eye opener for me, because like hearing you talk about, obviously we talk about it all the time, but hearing you talk about it now and realizing like how constant it is, actually, I don't think I quite realized.
But that's what I want to say.
It's almost like for
I say
you,
whatever
it's like
whatever is my dad says out loud, there'll be so much more going on in his head.
Yeah.
That is the truth. When you let people know things, and it's only since where I knew that you guys were coming on, and I had to be a bit more vulnerable, because I now can see I'm passing things on to my girls. I don't want that. I'm like, I don't want you to have what's going on in my head. Like, that to me is more important than what's I'm going through. So I've started to open up a bit more, but like even my youngest two, but then obviously we have a daughter with special needs, and as she gets older, they are getting difficult. I'm even finding myself not wanting to leave the house with the 3 of them, because I'm scared of losing them. I'm scared of just the not being able to cope with all 3, because if Sophie decides she wants to go home in that minute, we have to go home, you know, like. So last week or the week before, we had a week off together, and anywhere that's new, because if it's somewhere familiar, I can do it. But when we wanted to go somewhere new, I don't know if you can think of this day, that lake that I found, I couldn't make a decision, and I couldn't book it. And I then was like, well, if you go and check it out, and if it's okay, then we go.
Can I just take your mind back to something? Because, and your listeners aren't going to know what we're going to talk about, so I have to put a bit of backstory on this, because there was something you said when we very first arrived, just for that minute before we actually came into your studio. And if I said the sizzler.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you're doing here now. So when we arrived today, we just briefly asked you about your dad before we came in, and I think it was Joel, you said that how much you'd improved, and that when he went on holiday, you always had to visit the same restaurant because he'd had one meal there. He knew that he wasn't going to be sick. So we go back there because it's familiar. I'd just like to point that out to what you're saying right now.
100%. Yeah.
So what you're, and remember I said about copied behaviour?
Yeah.
So what you're actually doing is exactly the same as what you've seen in your dad about, if I know I can go somewhere and it's safe, then I've got to keep going back there. Yeah. So a lot of your behaviours are copied from your dad, but you've just adapted them to fit in with your anxiety.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But what's really great about that is that once you start to identify it, when we don't understand something, we catastrophize. It's like you get a rash on your arm. Get ready, metaphor.
Is that metaphor alert? Is it?
Metaphor alert. You get a rash on your arm. 1 minute it's not there. The next minute you notice it. And you think, oh, I wonder what that is. And you ignore it. And then the next day it's still there. And then suddenly what happens is you start checking in with that rash more than you ever did before. And from not looking at that part of your hand, suddenly you're looking at it all the time. And then the more you look at it, the more you're thinking, what could it be? Then you start to catastrophize. Then you think, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll go on Google, and you go on Google and you go, holy crap, I've not been away for like 10 years and I've got a tropical disease. Yeah. And then you look at all the symptoms and it says lethargy. I've got that. And you start to make these things fit. And so by this point, you've got all that, you're thinking, oh my God, I've got this tropical disease. I've got all this to come. This is what's going to happen. And you get yourself into a real state. And you go to the doctor. And you say to the doctor, oh, Dr. Look, I think I've got a tropical disease. Look at my arm. And the doctor goes, I know exactly what that is. Here's a prescription. Put this cream on. Within 2 or 3 days, it's gone. Right. So when you didn't know what it was, you panicked and you started to feel like out of control. But the minute you go to your doctor and doctor goes, I know what that is. Put this cream on. It'll be gone in 3 days. You walk out of that doctor's surgery suddenly feeling great. And nothing's actually changed because the rash is exactly the same, but your knowledge and your thought process has changed. So suddenly it's like, I don't need to panic too much about that. So why I'm giving you that analogy is because when you recognize, oh, actually, this isn't me, I'm following my dad's behaviors and I've got this wrong because this actually wasn't even about places, it was about restaurants. It actually starts to put you more back in control of the situation, and it starts to feel a lot easier. I mean, that's just part of the process, but just knowing that.
But knowing that you're struggling so much, and as you know, I believe everyone can get better. And I've met millions of people in my life, and I've still not met anyone who can't get better. And I want you to get over this. And we're going to do some stuff now, which is going to make a massive difference. And then you're going to come on our podcast, the Hope Clinic, and we're going to, any little bits that are still lingering, we're going to deal with those. Yeah. And you're going to be perfect. Yeah. How about that?
Yeah, I love that. How about that? I love that.
Okay, right. So the first thing I'd like to share with you, and I'd like to share with, with your listeners and viewers, is don't ever say, my anxiety. Don't ever say, I suffer with anxiety, I struggle with anxiety. What I want you to say is, I'm anxious about, right? Because anxiety is a symptom. And if you're anxious about something, you're anxious about your children being taken, right? So you have anxiety because of that, right? But if you say, I have anxiety, then it's a problem with you. Yeah. If you say, I'm anxious about, it's a problem about a situation that's not you, right? Because we all get anxious about certain things, but it's in context.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If I, my son, if he said, oh, I'll be home at 5 o'clock, and I look at it's 8 o'clock and he's not home, in that split second, I'll feel anxious. Go, where is he? And I'll ring him and I'll speak to him, and the anxiety disappears. Yeah. Right? That's in context, and we all have that to stay alive. So never say my anxiety. It's just I'm anxious about, and in that situation, my analogy there, I'm anxious about my son because I don't know where he is. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So we know that number one, that you weren't born with this. We know that number two, that your dad was anxious about many things in your home because of what happened. We know that your mum was also anxious because sadly you lost Anthony.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and we also know, which I'd like to share with you, that your brain, up until when it's developing, up until on average the age of 15, at that point you only really, I suppose my analogy here is that you see the world in a one-dimensional way, in the fact that, you know, and you've heard the saying, you can tell your kids anything at that age and they'll believe you, right? Because they see the world one-dimensional. They don't think that someone might tell them something that's not correct. We tell our kids when they're younger all sorts of things that later on in life they found out weren't true. And it's one-dimensional. Then when your hormones kick in, whatever age period that is, then you start comparing yourself with the world. You see, prior to that, you just want to play and just have fun. You're not really bothered about what people think and so on. I know it's changed a little bit with social media, but and then when you get to the age of 15 and you start looking at yourself, comparing yourself with the world.
Before, as soon as the hormones kick in.
Before, when the hormones kick in, and that's when you start saying, hold on, you know, you're not putting me in these clothes anymore. I want to pick my own clothes and so on. And at that point, you then look at the world in a two-dimensional way, where people will then, if they say things to you, you'll go, oh, I'm not sure about that, and I want to check it. And but you were told when at a young age that actually Anthony was here 1 minute and the next minute he wasn't.
And he died in his sleep, was what you said.
So what does that mean to you? Right, you've got to try and process that. And the obvious way to process it is that, well, it's a possibility that we could all die in our sleep. Is that fair?
Yeah.
So nighttime is a threat.
And there's also a possibility that at any point we could lose someone. At any point. So now we have this amazing ability in our brain, and it's called the reticular activating system. And what it is, it's like a sensory gateway that allows information in that's important to us and blocks out information that isn't, right? But actually, you know, it's great in a lot of ways, but it also causes confirmation bias. So now you start looking out for things that, oh, that could be taken away, they could be taken away, and you look for evidence of things being taken away. If you ever get any confirmation of that, then it sticks, and now it's like, and it starts off with this little thing here, then it grows and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as time goes on, and you're frightened of anything being taken away, which is where you are right now. Yeah. Okay, so why did you lose Anthony? What actually happened?
Isn't cot death just... I don't think they ever had any answers. Back then it was just cot death and...
Yeah.
Okay. So it was just... It's one of those things that's so sad and should never happen, but happened, sadly. But he didn't get taken, did he?
No.
For whatever reason, medically, and I don't think there ever was a solution to cot death. I don't know, I might be wrong about that. But he passed away.
But was he taken, or did he pass away?
He passed away.
Was Night to blame for that?
No.
So when that happened, you then create the schema, which becomes a reference that...
Like an app, which I mentioned earlier.
That people, family, can get taken away. And I can't begin to imagine the trauma that your mum and dad had losing Anthony. So the delight that they would have getting another son in Mickey. But then, because they've lost a son, now obviously they're going to be overprotective of this one that they've got.
Yeah.
And overprotective. But for you always had this feeling, well, I've lost one brother. When's this one going to go?
Mm. So it wasn't that you predicted anything. It was just that you'd already had a reference. Let my brothers die.
Yeah.
And that could happen at any point.
In your 10-year-old head.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not the truth. And I know that he passed away, but that's something totally separate. But that is why you were in your bunk bed.
Yeah.
And thought. And that's why you overreacted when you'd go out when you're on holiday with your parents.
Because you never knew when it might happen.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you're laughing.
I feel kind of silly though. I think
But that's great.
No, that's
good.
great. Because you see, the thing is,
it's a change of
being
emotion.
able to laugh and being able to feel silly is at an opposite end of the scale. And our brain can't be in two places at once. It can't, you can't be happy and sad. It just doesn't work that way.
You can't be anxious and laughing and having fun and laughing. And that's why it's good that you say that you feel silly and you're laughing, because that tells us that that's a change of emotion.
Yeah.
And the minute the emotion changes, then it all starts to feel different.
Yeah.
So tell me about Mickey. What happened?
Mikey. It's Mike.
Mickey.
Mickey.
No, Mickey, yeah.
Sorry, we're getting ourselves... We do
You're
know
close.
a Mikey.
Yeah, we're not
So,
Mikey. I'm thinking,
yeah, Mickey.
So Mickey, tell me what happened.
That day he got a motorbike, and he put his little one to bed, and then he went for a ride on his motorbike.
Okay.
He couldn't go out any earlier than that day because his insurance hadn't gone through, but then it was through, so he put his little one to bed. And then he came round and said, I was going to say goodbye. He came round and saw us all to show his bike. So he came to our house. My sister and my dad at the time did like an amateur dramatics, so they were rehearsing. So he went there to show them his bike. And then for me, what happened is we were about to get married in 5 or 6 weeks' time. So I was on my laptop. And then Joel come in from the gym, went to go make himself I don't know what they're called. Protein shake, that's it.
Yeah.
And then he walked in and his face just said it all, like there was something bad. And I instantly thought that it was something to do with my children. And then Joel said it was Mickey, and I just crumbled to the floor. So he'd basically heading home, and it was literally just around the corner from his house. He was going too fast, but a car was going the wrong way, so quickly did a U-turn and just hit him and killed him instantly. And then my dad and my sister was randomly offered to drop one of the ladies home that lived by there, so they were going there, and they, at this time, they could only see blue flashing lights. You couldn't see if it was a fire, ambulance. I feel like I'm butchering the story. And my dad got out of the car and basically fell to the floor and said, "My heart knows that's Mickey. He's died." And my sister was like, "Oh my God, Dad, get up. Like, you don't know nothing. You can't see anything." There was nothing to see at this point. So a neighbour took him in, and my sister rang my mum. But my mum said she had the exact same feeling. And then they got there, and then they saw his trainer in the road, I believe, and then his bike. And then that's when my sister called you? Ryan called you?
Ryan called me.
Ryan called him, and then he had to tell me, and then we all just went to my mum's, and just, walking in and seeing my mum and dad, like, in that way.
I can't imagine
I
it. I can't imagine it. I mean, it's just the most heartbreaking thing. But what happened? You just told me the full story there, but what happened to Mickey?
He was hit by a car.
Okay. Which was what? What do you
A
call
crash.
that? Okay. So it was an accident.
Yeah.
Was it an accident?
Yeah.
And, accidents, sadly, happen all the time on so many different levels.
Would I be right in saying that your mum and dad weren't very comfortable with him having a motorbike anyway? They were worried about him on the bike.
No, they were fine. My dad's had bikes, and he was actually a very good driver. The police even said that part of the thing was he was speeding, but he had seen the car.
Yeah.
The car hadn't seen him. He had seen the car and
Right.
had to brake. They could tell by the brake lines in the road. So he had just got a driving job, like a van job, and he loved it. Like he was actually very good at driving, but yeah, just a horrible accident.
And that's the word. It was an accident.
Mm.
It wasn't taken, was he?
No.
And I'm really sad. I mean, I can't imagine it.
Saddest.
Right, I mean, it's just so heartbreaking, but it was an accident.
And one thing that I took from that is that we couldn't stop, or nobody had any power of stopping what happened. But if you were gonna, or if you knew that was going to happen, or even if he knew it was going to happen, and he was going to say, right, today's the day that I'm going to die, then he kind of got to ride his bike, and he got to see all his family. So even though the accident happened, at least he got to see all his family, and you all.
We say that.
We always
don't
say that.
Got
It's
to
almost like
see-
he came and
Like somebody knew
say
and
goodbye.
sent
Right.
around to everyone. Yeah. And I'm sure that when you did see him, because he'll have been so proud and so like sort of this is
New
what I've
bike.
got. You'll have seen him being happy and looking happy and what and if you again, if we knew this was going to happen, what would we want? Would we want him to sort of have had that situation prolonged, or would we want him to go instantly? And he went instantly. Is what he said.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So
yeah.
he won't have even.
That's what I
take from that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a foregone conclusion that Anthony was going to pass, and it wasn't a foregone conclusion that Mickey would either.
Mm.
Neither of them were taken. And the fact that you lost Anthony, you're always going to be concerned about losing Mickey.
Mm.
But that didn't make anything happen. It was an accident.
Mm.
And then it comes to you and that scenario when Joel was kidnapped. And we look at that scenario. You said, and the reason that this probably still affects you is because of that one line and what we know that makes the difference between holding on to something, having PTSD or not.
And what was the line?
Do you remember what I asked you?
I thought he was going to die.
Okay. So how have you managed for all these years without him?
Who, my brother?
No, Joel.
Oh, God. Dang it.
How have you managed?
How have you
without me?
managed without him?
What do you mean?
When he got kidnapped and died, how have you managed?
We didn't die.
Sorry?
What did you say? Sorry.
He didn't die.
He didn't.
No.
But you thought he was going to do.
Yeah.
Okay. And in that moment, you're never going to see him again.
Mm.
What did you want more than anything?
What, in that moment?
Yeah.
Mm.
For him just to be back.
And did that happen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what actually went wrong?
Nothing. To annoyingly to him, because it always goes smoothly with Joel.
But actually, didn't you get what you wanted as well? So what went wrong?
Yeah, nothing.
Okay. I tell you what did come out of this. You got a belting story to share.
Yeah, yes.
Like, it's
Yeah,
a
it's
showstopper.
yeah.
I mean, that is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like movie material stuff. That is.
Yeah.
But look, I know we're not making light of it genuinely, but
with PTSD, when you think you're going to die, or you think someone else is going to die, you get stuck in that moment, and the scheme is created. And even if 5 seconds later you find out that they're okay, you've still got this reference, which is what you've gone back to, because you know he's okay.
Yeah.
But saying to you, well, how have you coped without him? You didn't know where to go with that, did you?
Yeah, I didn't.
Because
No.
you know he's there.
Yeah.
Right? But your brain's going to do something different.
It made me think, what would I do without him? I was trying, when you asked me that, I was like, well,
he's here.
I won't be able to cope without him. Like,
Right.
yeah.
But your worst fear never happened,
Yeah.
did it?
No.
Because you got him back.
Yeah.
So as Eva said, what actually, you had that situation that night, but what actually went wrong for you?
Yeah, nothing.
Good.
What was that magic word, Eva? Because I didn't quite
It was
hear.
nothing.
Was it?
Yeah. So I just want you to think about that now and go back there. You see him in the car. You're ringing your mum, telling her to come and look after the children, and then you can call the police. I just want you to think back to it right now and just tell me what's changed, or give me a score on how that feels now.
Weirdly, and I'm not just saying this, weirdly, I can't really score it.
Okay, that's good.
In a good way.
I
That's
understand.
I feel
Yeah.
silly for even thinking it was a 10 before. Like, now he's here, and it's, yeah, weirdly.
You see, you're smiling now.
Yeah.
You're not crying anymore.
Yeah, weirdly.
And then last one is you said when you were on holiday, and we asked you to score that, and you said that you were on holiday and Mickey had gone missing, or and truth be told, he was having an absolute blast, having fun, didn't want to come back. And what actually went wrong in that scenario?
Yeah, nothing.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Other than him having a good time.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was none the wiser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went upset. He came back like, oh, you've all been looking for me. Like,
And he wasn't unsafe.
yeah,
Because what do kids like doing?
playing, going
Right.
off, adventure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what happened to him? Nothing.
Nothing.
Okay. So you said that was, when you thought about that before, 10 out of 10. How does that feel now?
Yeah. Like, silly. And yeah.
Well done.
How amazing is that?
Job here is done.
It's not quite.
Not quite.
Not quite. So, your children, how many have you lost?
Well, none, but I think obviously with the doctor saying that, it gives me that fear that it could at any point with Sophie.
How many have you lost?
None.
How
Okay.
right was that doctor?
Not at all.
Okay. So the doctor said something to you that was incorrect, but you want to carry on believing it. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying, John?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I am, but I don't know why I shouldn't.
Well, tell me. It's all right. I mean, because from where I'm sitting, if someone tells me something, which and I find out that it doesn't happen, I don't want to carry on believing it. Because what do you think? Would that be a bit silly? Yeah. So, and so I want to understand, if you want to carry on believing it, tell me, because maybe I'm not getting the full perspective.
Yeah. I shouldn't believe it.
Was it true?
No.
The blood tests showed that whatever it was that he made that assumption on had changed as well. So he was very wrong.
Yeah.
So I'll go back to my original question. How many children have you lost?
None.
thanks to the way that you brought your children up, this is the positive that's now come, that you will have made your children very aware of stranger danger and all that kind of thing. So you actually don't need to, certainly like your older girls, the little ones, we need to keep an eye on them. And we do. And there is an element, if you don't see your kid even for a fraction of a second, you panic, especially when they're little.
Yeah.
So that is quite normal. But just because they wandered off, no one's been taken. You thought they had.
Yeah.
But they never have.
And even going back to you, Joel, when you told us that it wasn't just like someone snatched you in the street. They've been following you for a long time. You've seen those people for a long time. So it wasn't just like a random thing that could happen at any point, and it was outside your house. Do you live there anymore?
No.
Okay.
No, don't want to burst your bubble, but were they even interested in Joel?
Soon gave me back.
Yeah.
No. I always say that. Yeah. Even if he had an affair, should give him back.
Yeah.
Does that feel different?
Good.
It does, weirdly.
I feel like even just looking at you,
I was just going to say,
You can see
I can see it feels different.
Yeah. You're like brighter and you're really smiling, and even your eyes are smiling. It's lovely to see.
Oh, thanks.
You look like a lighter load.
Yeah. I think because I'd done what you had said, it was that thing of something bad might happen, and then in my head it was like tick, tick. Oh, it could happen. So then I just held on to my feelings of something bad could happen, is going to happen, could happen. And it's the worst. It was always the worst thing could happen. It wasn't just something little.
And I get that. But how great is your life?
That's what I think for people watching may not have also understood that I do live an amazing life. We get to live and go on amazing holidays. And although I say I struggle on holiday, you wouldn't know that from the camera or,
Well, even from being with you, like hearing you saying this today has actually been an eye-opener. I obviously know.
Yeah.
But I didn't realise to the extent of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it was making me think, because we do have a bit of an ongoing joke of like Sarah will go somewhere, and then after she's been, even if it's just like a day out or whatever, she'll be like, oh, we should, like if she's been without me, she'll be like, oh, we should go back there together. And it's always this thing, if she does something good, she wants to go back again with me, but it's because she wants to experience it again, because she didn't have a good experience the first time.
And if it's a new place, like my friend, she keeps saying about going away. She's a single parent with 2 kids the same age as my little two. So she's like, next year, let's go away. I'm telling her, yeah, of course. My heart is saying, you're not going there. And I try to explain to her, if it's somewhere new, I need my safety blanket. I need Joel to come. I can't go with you and all our kids. That to me is like, whoop, whoop, whoop. Like.
But so many people have that belief. And I remember going right back when Eva and I were dating. And we went on this date, and it was full day, and it was fabulous. We did so many things, and it was so good. And we laughed all day. And I think that's the most important thing in a relationship, to laugh. And we laughed all day, and then suddenly she changed. And I said, what's happened? And what did you say, Eva?
This was my belief back then through my conditioning. And I said, because I've been laughing all day, that means something bad is going to happen. Because that was my life, that bad things would always happen. Because
and that was just like it would just become normal for you.
Absolutely. And
I wish it was a project.
Yeah. And I genuinely did used to believe that. What I didn't, and now what I realise is that just bad things happen because of the environment I was in, and it was nothing to do with me. I wasn't the common denominator of bad things happening, and nor new places actually, because interestingly, anything that has ever happened has always happened on familiar ground. So, Joel being taken, that was right outside your house. That was familiar. So actually blaming new places that things can go wrong is a bit unfair on the new places.
Yeah.
Because we've been to so many new places, and nothing's
ever gone wrong.
Ever bad has ever
You've never
happened.
been taken anywhere else?
No, just outside my old house.
Not Mexico that I nearly made us not go to.
I mean, if you thought I was going to be kidnapped anyway, you'd think it'd be Mexico, right?
Yeah.
By the cartel. But
we'd
no.
gone to Mexico and I'd seen so many bad stories on TikTok. I was like,
it really feeds into your fears. TikTok just knows.
I was like, we're not going.
Yeah.
We did, and I ended up having like one of the best times. So I'm like, let's go back there.
Yeah.
Do you know what? It's funny because I was just thinking about when you was talking about all the holidays. When we went to the Maldives, I feel like that was one of your best holidays.
Yeah.
And you were so relaxed on that holiday. I felt like you enjoyed it first time round.
Yeah.
And that's because...
Well, I said to you at the time, I said, it just felt so enjoyable. The girls... Well, because you can't run off very far anyway.
There wasn't a lot of people on the island.
And
there was not really much.
Yeah.
How far could you even go?
Yeah, but also I felt like the girls are a really good age that they're just easy and enjoyable. So it's not like having a 1-2-year-old that you've got to have eyes on. Like I could sit and eat my dinner and they'd play in the sand. And like I would, well, we're trying to. I'm like, can we go back there? Because it just was so enjoyable. Yeah. And that actually was a holiday that I enjoyed in the moment.
First time round.
Yeah,
That's nice.
yeah.
Otherwise, it gets quite expensive having to go twice to everywhere before she can enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. But who's ever taken any of your children?
No one.
And they've always been safe?
Mm.
Okay. What I want to do, just as a test, is...
Snatch one of my children.
That will be an interesting episode.
Do you know what?
Conveniently, there's one available.
We've got some certain measures, but I don't think we'll push it that far. Right. I want you to think about a holiday that you've had and a moment on that holiday where you felt like the children, you'd lost them or they'd gone away or something. Just think of a random memory.
Yep.
Have you got one?
Yep.
Okay, tell me what it is.
It was on the cruise. Sorry, Joel, throw you under the bus, but I remember going. I don't feel like Joel watches the children very well, so I'd left him with Sophie and Chloe, and I don't know if I'd gone to the bar or walked away, but then when I look back, he wasn't watching them, and they'd walked off.
Okay, can I put that into perspective? Because again, whenever we do anything, it's always compared to what? You see, Joel doesn't watch the children very well compared to someone who's completely overprotective and thinks they're going to get stolen every moment.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas if I was with Joel, I'd go, you're so protective of your children, right? Because you're on the other end of the scale. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So everything that we do in life, there's always a comparison. Because how do you know if something's good or bad unless we compare it to something?
Yeah. Because I do agree, like I would say to Joel sometimes, like, you go do that thing, I'm going to make it worse. Like he goes off on adventures with Casey and Grace.
Yeah.
Because my fear, I don't want to put that onto them.
No, I get that.
So I'm like, you go do that.
Can I ask you a question? How many times have things gone wrong when he's done that?
Never, even when he left them in the car.
Never.
Okay, how many times?
Yeah. Never.
What did she say, Joel?
Never.
Okay.
Don't make him out to
Thank
be.
you. Hey, I'm in your corner here, right? Right. So going back to that memory, right? Look at that memory and remember, right? So how you felt then, but now we've done this scheme of conditioning with you. Now look at that memory and tell me what's changed in that memory.
They were fine.
Right. And did that come straight away?
Yeah. They're fine. Because I have bad, like, I don't want to go on a cruise again. I feel like it was so anxious for me of thinking the worst that they're going to... I don't want to go on a cruise again with them.
Look back on the cruise now. Look back at the cruise. Tell me about the cruise.
This is really weird because now I'm looking at it nicely, like the memories that we actually had.
Tell me about it.
Well, we just went and visited lovely places. And the kids loved the carousel and swimming, and we were just together as a family. And
these are the memories I have, and we've never had the same memory of it.
No,
right.
I'm like, it's hell. We're not doing it again. I tell people, don't do it with your young kids. That wait till they're older. Yeah.
Those are the memories I have of the cruise. So when we speak about the cruise, I speak about it fondly, and you've never spoken about it like that, ever. Something has definitely changed.
That's so weird.
Would you go on a cruise?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm there yet, but I don't know.
What stops you?
But no, honestly, sorry, Eva. Right? just tell me about that cruise again, because I know Joel started talking, but just tell me about that cruise again. Just tell me what happened on the cruise.
Yeah. Nothing.
Where did you go?
Where did we go? It was the Caribbean. Yeah.
Okay.
What did the children think of it?
Oh, I don't know if they were too young to. I haven't asked them, but
we've got one is available.
Well, yeah.
Do you remember how old were the children? How old would Grace been then?
I don't remember. I was thinking about it, and then I was like, I remember when I went on a purple slide with Dad, and then I got to the bottom, and I thought I was lost, and I got in a real panic because I was like, I don't know where he is. And then
was that on that cruise?
Yeah.
Is that all you remember? How old were you?
No, I do remember other stuff. Like, it was fun. We got ice cream, and I don't remember getting off the cruise. I remember really on it. I don't really. The shows, there was like Greece and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So, Caribbean cruise, where did you stop off? Some of the places.
I don't remember Haiti.
Yeah, we didn't.
I don't remember.
St. Croix.
Yes. Was it St. Martin?
Did we only get off once? Did we get?
We got off twice, but we only really got off. Like, there was only one place where we got off, and it was like we had
a beach day.
It was
we
like
went
Haiti. Royal Caribbean have got their own like area, so it was like a really nice. And the other stops, we didn't get off at all of them.
I've actually got really nice pictures as well from being off. My mum and dad. We actually went for your nan's birthday. I don't know how old she would have been, but it was a big birthday. It's all Joel's family. My mum and dad came.
Amazing. And
it's actually, I've actually got really nice photos.
Some of the best thing for you.
I loved all of it. I think that day on the beach at Haiti, that was amazing. Or just for me, it was like the simple things, like just going for dinner every evening, and just we all sat together. And I don't know, I have like the surf machine was so good. Like, doing the surf machine.
Can I tell you why nothing's going to go wrong? Because you two are just fabulous parents.
Thank you.
Like literally, whether you worry or not, your kids and you as a family are solid. Like your children, that if anybody were to come to your children, I'm sure they'd scream. You don't even have to sort of be glaring at them, because I'm guessing that they would know if somebody was a stranger. It's like, get off. But your children are fine.
But do you know what? Looking at Joel and seeing his face light up when I just a cruise to you, right? His face lights up. Why would you not want more of that?
Oh, yeah, he loves to travel.
Yeah,
we have and I feel like we have done lots of traveling because he likes that. He doesn't really like an all-inclusive type holiday. He loves to explore. So, but that's why sometimes I'm like, I don't want to hold you back. You go and enjoy that.
But if you've lived your life feeling that you're going to lose, or that you lose people, then I can understand why you've not been able to completely relax and been on high alert. But actually, did you ever lose anyone? Have you ever?
No.
Would you like to? Anytime soon?
Well, maybe one.
They'd give me back.
They would.
Yeah.
So you found this lovely man. You've got lovely children. How many have you lost?
None.
Okay. Is it time to just get on with enjoying your life and stop worrying about things that have never happened?
That would be lovely.
If ever you find yourself, and this is also something that's great for anybody listening, if ever you find yourself sort of starting to catastrophize or start to worry, there is a line that you can say. You can say it out loud, or you can say it in your head. You can test it now if you want. So think of just anything.
Think of something
that you worry about.
Something that's been bothering you.
Or something that's been
I
bothering you.
know you're going to find that difficult, but just think of something that's been bothering you.
Okay. And then have you got something in your head?
What kind of like?
Anything. Like, example. I don't know. Something.
She did chill now.
Look.
Yeah.
I'm struggling.
I'm trying to think what kind of worry I've got.
Anything. Like, where something is, what time someone's going to be back, or something that it doesn't have to be. This is just to give an example. And when you find yourself sort of thinking about whatever it is you're worrying about, like I say, you say it out loud or in your head. Just say, "I wonder what my next thought is going to be."
So I wonder what my next thought is going to be, and then it kind of goes blank.
There you go. That's exactly right.
Because I'm like, what is my next thought?
Did you try that?
Isn't it amazing?
Did you give it a go?
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
It just goes silent.
Did you go blank as well?
I went blank, but I thought that I was supposed to have
Thought of something.
No,
so I was
yeah,
like,
me
why has
too,
everyone
so
got
I'm
it and not me?
It
That's the
confuses
point.
your brain.
Yeah.
That is the point. When you
Oh.
find yourself worrying,
So it kind of interrupts the
Yeah.
pattern.
completely.
Yeah.
And look, that's not going to last forever. You'll find
Yeah.
it comes back again. But what you've been doing is, so we have these neural pathways in our brain. So, for example, you weren't born thinking about losing people, but then because you lost or believed you lost a brother, as opposed to him passing away, then you start to, there's like this sort of pathway that you walk down. And the more times we walk down it, the easier it is to access, the quicker we can access it, which is why within a split second, for a fraction of a second, you weren't seeing one of your children, boom, the anxiety comes on because you've traveled down that pathway of worry about losing children that many times. It happens instantly. So you've traveled that pathway, you've got this neural pathway that's there, well traveled. So by saying, what's my next thought going to be, you're actually pushing yourself off that pathway and starting to create a new one of just a bit of silence in your head.
Yeah.
And a bit of
Yeah.
peace. So it's something that when you find yourself worrying, you say it, and you'll have to do it again. But what it does do is it starts to create a new neural pathway of, I don't need to worry about that because now I've got this silence for a moment. That's it. It's just a great little technique.
That's amazing. I'm
Yeah.
definitely going to use that.
For when? You don't worry.
He's gonna go out look
Yeah.
for something to worry so you can use it.
Sometimes I'm trying to think of things I worry about, but I think
I know when
do.
I'm sat up at night worrying and he's like snoring, I'm like, how?
So just to confirm, how many children have you lost?
None.
And even when you couldn't see them for that moment, did you always find them?
Yeah.
Did
Okay.
night time have anything to do with it?
No.
Sleep?
No.
And if you couldn't find them, would they not always find you?
Glad to think so.
I know they would.
Mm.
So there's no need to worry then, is there?
No.
What do you think?
I think what I've always thought, which is that I always think they're going to be fine. The kids are going to be fine. You know, even if they get lost, like we all get lost as kids. Like I got lost loads of times, but I always found my parents, and
Of course.
Yeah.
that's just how I've always kind of thought that the kids will be fine.
But that's more the norm. That is the norm.
Mm.
Yeah.
But you were on high alert because of, and you know
Yeah.
when Nick said about I'm anxious about as opposed to
Yeah.
I'm anxious, that's where that
Yeah.
difference
Yeah.
lies.
Yeah.
So what happens now is that for essentially when you first found out about Anthony, and let's say, just for example, you were 4. So for 34 years, you created this schema that I will lose people are in, and therefore people are in danger. And you got several confirmations with Mickey, with Joel, throughout that. So it just grows and grows. And you've created 34 years of memories that have gone into this pot because of that fear, basically. So now we've changed what created it. So now everything in that pot, your brain starts looking at it and goes, I don't believe that anymore. And the memories start to change. Which is why I asked you
with
now,
the cruise, yeah.
if you look on the cruise now, you've not got any fear.
Yeah.
And it's already changed.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy. I feel like I've been hypnotized or something.
It's absolutely incredible watching this process happen right in front of me with someone that I obviously know, like everything that it's just like seeing even just the transformation in your face.
Even the fact that I said that the cruise was like talking of the memories, because it's like I wouldn't ever think back of those.
Yeah.
Even when you just said about the dinner, I'm like, I remember us all of our white napkins. Like I'm remembering that, whereas I didn't. It was like I shut them off.
And that's amazing. And again, I'd like people to realise that so many people that, and give you an example that, we'll ask someone, how was school? I got bullied. Right. And because they got bullied at school, they don't want to think about any of those memories. It's like you shut a door with, school days, bullied, and that's it. And you don't want to enter into it, because if you open that door, you feel that pain. But actually, once you open that door and deal with the bullying, then suddenly all these, because you didn't get bullied 24/7 for like 16 years or whatever it may be, right? Those memories filter through then, and you realise that actually your life's been amazing. You had some blips that weren't great, and that's for everyone, and behind anyone's issues is a trauma, and that's a trauma in context. But once you deal with those traumas, then you start getting these amazing memories come through, and you realise how incredible your life is. So just think of another holiday now that, and you'll notice that suddenly you'll get memories that you think, I don't remember doing that before.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the thing, is like we are so lucky to be able to do all the things we do and have this life, and then, but having to carry all of those worries and stuff through it, and it's like been spoiling it for you along the way. But think about having now to be able to go and do those things for the first time, and not taking that with you, not having that with you, like that. That would be incredible, which I think is going to happen.
Which is obviously explains the stress I feel at the airport as well.
Yeah.
I am.
Because we sort of joke about how stressed, it's a bit of like
at the airport, like I am so stressed. If I fly without the kids or Joel, like I'm a different person. But when we're all going together, like,
again, do be aware of some normality in that as well as a mum.
So
as a mum, we are not just looking after ourselves, but these little ones, because they are our responsibility. So I was reading a study actually recently saying about the things that are stressful in life, and airport actually featured.
Airport mums.
Yeah, featured in that. However, it shouldn't be completely ruined. So once you get yourself through security and all that, after that, that's when it should go and relax.
Yeah.
But that first bit can be a little bit stressful. And there's, like I said, just be aware that there is an element of normality to some parts of that.
And that normality is anxious about.
Yeah, I'm anxious
nothing
about.
Wrong with you.
Yeah.
I'm stressed about. Doesn't mean you suffer with stress. I'm stressed about that, or and when you know what the things are, and it also helps to write them down, because your brain's trying to process things, and if you write, I'm stressed about, write it down, and then actually when you look at things on a piece of paper, and you go, actually I'm not that bothered about that one. It's amazing.
What do I do if I feel like recently I've started to feel anxious and not know the answer?
Well, that's habitual usually, and we are all triggered. So we are stimulus response animals. So what I mean by that is, let's say, for example, right, okay, so you were worried about something that was a real worry. You get in the car and you're thinking about that real worry, then now the car triggers you. Because that's where you last felt anxious. And we help so many people who say, I've got an issue with driving on motorways. What actually happened was that they were panicking about something in the car, and they kind of transfer it to the car. Like you said, you went to the farm. You said that you guys went to the farm, and one of your little ones went one way, one of them went other, and you said, that's it, we can't go back there again. That's exactly what you've done. So you have now made the farm, you blame the farm. The farm's done nothing. It wasn't the farm that said, right, kids, when you get here, one of you go that way, one of you go the other. But you've now created that. So basically what you're telling me is that because, and this is quite normal, and maybe your dad may have noticed this as well, when someone has a phobia or some sort of an anxiety, it feels like it's constantly getting worse. It's not really that the problems, that the issue is bigger. It's because you're adding more triggers, because you've been triggered somewhere else. So if you find yourself in somewhere and you're sort of feeling like, I feel anxious, do the, I wonder what my next thought's going to be.
Yeah.
Or just literally wherever you are, apologise to that area. Go, look, and I know it sounds silly, but we said about changing your emotion. If you can laugh at yourself, it makes you feel better. So, let's say that it's, going to the supermarket. When you get to the supermarket, you're feeling anxious, you kind of go, you might not want to say this out loud because people might think you're a bit odd, but you kind of want to go in your head, look, sorry, supermarket, I appreciate that you actually have never done anything to make my life more difficult. I was just anxious about something else and I brought it here.
Yeah.
But not anymore. And then you crack on. So
or even like laying in bed, like the amount of times you've laid in bed because one of us has not been home and felt anxious. So if you go to bed and you feel anxious and you don't know why, it's
Yeah.
because in that environment before you felt
Absolutely.
that
That's right.
feeling a lot of times.
But
So,
then,
But nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right, and I also want you to consider that this were, while going into new places, they might be new for you, but those places are old for other people. And they've been going there constantly and never had any issues.
and those places have probably been there longer than you've even
Yeah.
been
Well,
around.
Yeah.
And if they were a danger, then those places would be closed down.
Yeah.
We'll be like, don't come here because people go missing here.
Yeah. Where are we going next then?
Somewhere new. So I feel like
So we've talked a long time.
Sorry.
no,
idea.
this has
No,
been
it's been
this
hot.
has been
No,
amazing.
yeah,
This
it
has
has
honestly been
been.
incredible. Like
Yeah, thank you.
just
Oh my
watching
God,
you
you
guys
You're welcome.
do what you do, which is amazing. And I'm conscious that there'll be people that will be watching this and be like, I am going through this and this anxiety and this phobia and this fear. And it's like, what, you know, not everyone will be lucky enough to be able to sit down with you guys here. Like what can people be doing at home in their own lives to be able to try and tackle these phobias and fears? Like would they try and be able to like take themselves through the process like you just did with Sarah? Do they need someone else to take them through
I think,
or
you know,
what would you say?
Well, the starting point is you weren't born with it. Okay,
Yeah.
the starting point, and you can get better, right? So you've got to understand that, and it does, and you know,
that first element of hope is
Yeah.
is
It's
you know where it
important.
starts, and
and
it's like,
I'm really sorry that there are so many people who believe that you can't get better with certain circumstances, and you know, sadly, that we have a book called the DSM, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders, that was created by the American Psychiatric Association in the 50s. And that was a means of diagnosing people with certain illnesses. So that, because in America, they don't have the great NHS that we have. And it's a way of being saying, well, we diagnose someone with this so that they can claim on the insurance or whichever way that they get paid. And it was created for America, but it's become the mental health Bible for the world. So anyone in the UK, anyone around the world really, who studies psychology, psychiatry, they refer to that book, and diagnoses come from that book. But diagnoses are symptoms, and in our experience, there is always a cause, and that cause is always a trauma. And that trauma is a personal trauma of seeing something happen to you or others, or it can be the trauma of seeing someone in your household and who had a previous trauma and you're copying their behaviour. So it's mainly one of those two things, but trauma's at the back of it,
So
basically.
rewind,
Sorry.
answering Joel's question.
Yes, answering Joel's question.
Reeling him in.
Right, the first thing is that, you know, whatever, if anyone's told you that you can't get better, right, don't listen, right? You can get better.
100%. You've got to
Right.
believe it, because if you
You've got to
don't,
believe that you can get better.
if you don't believe you're going to get better or that you can, even if only just a bit, then you'll stop looking for solutions.
Yeah.
And the only person that can't get better is the person that isn't looking to do so.
And with social media, a lot of people who have a problem, and you know, we talked about your dad's emetophobia, which is a great example of that. People go on forums and share and say, because of my emetophobia, I can't do this and I can't do that. And then people go on those forums and go, I didn't realise I couldn't do that. Oh, that's really frightening. And it actually makes them worse.
yeah.
And
So
if you want to get
forums.
over something, you've got to find someone who got over it.
Yeah.
Don't talk to people who, you know, there's a great statement that, you know, if 4 people have got the same problem and you hang out with them, you'll become the 5th. Whereas if you hang out with 4 people who don't have that problem, you will also become the 5th. You know, so be around people who don't have that problem and find out how they are.
But putting it simply, you've got to believe that you can get better. And even if you say, I don't believe it, then you've got to say, no, I'm going to believe that I can get better. The second
Nick
thing
and Eva
is,
said I could.
yeah, Nick and Eva said I could. The second thing is to start to consider, when did I first become aware of it? So does it feel like you've had it all your life? If so, that would suggest that potentially it's copied, or certainly started at a very young age. Or when did I become aware of it? So emetophobia, a common one is, well, I remember somebody being sick at school and everybody going, ugh. That is one of the most common starts of emetophobia. So when did I first become aware of it? What did I believe back then? And how did I get it wrong? See, that's exactly what we've done with you. We've worked back to so you do believe that you can get better, I think, because otherwise you wouldn't be
Yeah.
asking us to be sat here. Then we said to you, where do you think it started? And we sort of found out that partly this is learned behaviour and then experiences that have happened in your life. And then all we've done is challenge that and actually helps you see it for what these situations actually were, as opposed to how they felt to you. So when you were a kid, so you felt that you'd lost people, right? But that's how it, but you know, seeing it for what it is and not how it felt is that seeing it for what it is, your brother passed away. You didn't lose your brother, he passed away. And when you start to challenge these things and seeing them for what they are and not to how they felt back then you can start to be set free. And don't go on forums that are talking about you know, because these can make you worse, because that's like exercising that phobia muscle, that anxiety muscle. The more you exercise it, the bigger, the more profound it's going to get. And do look for people that have overcome their issue as opposed to people that haven't. We actually have, obviously, our Hope Clinic podcast that people can listen to that can help. Our masterclasses, we don't just do a metaphobia, you know, we do masterclasses all over the country for anxiety, for panic attacks, for OCD, you know, for a whole host of issues, fear of flying, whatever it might be. But you know, and if you're really struggling, then, you know, do speak to your doctor. Do look at getting some sort of therapy. CBT therapy is really good.
But and stop that internal conflict, because you knew, Sarah, that, you know, you're living your life and you're saying, I don't want to be like this. But all that was happening is you set up these schemas or these references when you were younger to protect you. That's all it was. They wanted to protect you from losing someone else. But as an adult, you know that they're not going missing. You know that when Joe got kidnapped, he came home. But this reference is still there. And that's why you have this internal conflict. A lot of people say, I just don't want to be like this anymore. Yeah. But what you've got to do is find out, what was this reference? You've got to go back and you've got to do a timeline. You've got to look through your life and go, when did it change? And once you find out the day that changed, that's the reference that you want to look at. And you can then say, well, how can I look at this in a different way? Right? And quite often when you're stuck in it, you find it hard to see it in a different way. So you want to ask someone, you know, who's your best friend, who's your partner, someone who can look at it and give you a different perspective. And if you haven't got anyone around you, then you go to a therapist. But don't just go to a therapist and go, I'm struggling with this and this and I need some help. Right? Go, I was all right until this happened. This was the problem. Help me with this problem. Not the symptoms. Help me with this problem.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm a strong believer in just recognizing limiting beliefs that we put on ourselves that just become so normal. Like, I've got this, so I can't do that. Absolutely. Or I've always been like this, so therefore I can't do that thing. Yeah. And I think it becomes so normal to us that we don't even realize it 100%. Until something happens, or people. Eventually, you just get to a point where you're fed up with being fed up. You're at like a point where you're like, I don't want to carry on like this. And I think what you guys being here today, people listening, it is going to give them hope of like whatever you have been dealing with, regardless of how long you've been dealing with it. Yeah. Like it can change. And genuinely, it doesn't matter how old you are. Like literally, it does not matter how old you are, how long you've had an issue, you can still get over it. You know, with one of the eldest people that we work with, happened to be Paul McCartney's stepmom, name dropping there, but she had a fear of water, and I'm saying that out loud because we actually met her through TV and it was shown on telly, but she had a fear of water for 83 years, and we helped her to overcome it. Wow. So it doesn't matter how long you've been living with something. Because that's another comment, people go, this might be too deep rooted. No, it's not. And people go, well, I've had it so long it's deep rooted. The question is, how long did it take to get it? Seconds. And there's no such thing as deep rooted, it's just well practiced. Yeah. That's it. And interesting that you just say about our brain, even though it's incredibly complex, it accepts commands. So if you say, I can't do this, then it will go, okay. Yeah. And if you say, I can do this, you know, it will find a way. That inner dialogue we have with ourselves, you know, is everything. This is the maddest thing that's kind of happened recently, and I don't know what the science or anything behind this is, right? And people, I think, just think I'm crazy, but I've had allergies my whole life. I've been allergic to anything. Like not food allergies, like dust, hay fever, dogs, cats, horses. Like I've been hospitalized from being in the same room as someone who's been with a horse, right?
Wow.
And I've also got asthma, and it's always affected my asthma. And this year, as soon as the hay fever started kicking in, it's always when the weather gets nice, and I just felt myself just go, oh, now my summer, like now nice weather's here and it's ruined for me because I've got hay fever and it ruins my day and it makes me miserable. And it's just like, I just felt that instantly, as soon as the first kind of sneeze and itchy eye come along, I just accepted defeat. And then in that moment, I was just like, actually, no, do you know what? I don't actually have allergies. I don't know what this is. I don't have allergies. Like, I just stopped saying and accepting and just,
excellent.
Just like literally almost like just bowing down to this allergies. Like, and this over the next few weeks, like I would get the odd symptom here and then. I always get hay fever, and I just kind of sat with it and just kind of ignored it, but wouldn't say it's allergies, just say I don't know what that is. Fast forward, I went the whole summer, no hay fever. We now have a dog, right? And I mean, my mum seeing me with this dog, she's like, since the age of 5, I could never even be in, even if the dog wasn't in the room, if the dog had been in the room, and we have a dog, and I'm like all
Laying
over him.
with
He's
him,
literally my best friend,
yeah.
and like my mum's just like absolutely astounded. I don't know what's happened. I can't get my head around it, but
he speaks out loud like I'm not accepting it. I don't have allergies. I don't have.
And you're absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
And I've done this like with other things in my life before, and things have changed. Like this one is quite mad because I don't know how to explain it. But even if you have like limiting beliefs of like, I have ADHD, right? And I do struggle with, that's because I can't be organized. I can't be tidy. I can't like it. I do that a lot, and I have to sometimes take a step back and try and challenge it and be like, I can do these things.
Or I don't have to be untidy. I don't have to be unorganized.
Yeah,
because you don't. We are all masters of our own destiny, and everything. Even yourself, Sarah. Your fears came from the words that you use to describe what might happen. So realistically, the words that we use, our brain is running the show. And you're not the first person, by the way. We've actually worked with somebody for an allergy, and she just said she remembered a particular event, and she just said, I wonder whether that has anything to do with it. And we went, let's give it a go. And basically what we actually helped a lady overcome an allergy. That is not our area of speciality. It was just something she asked if we could try and help her with, and just to see how it went. And she actually, it did transpire that she'd had it from a kid. There was an expectation, and so it ensued. And that's what I think's happened there with you. You said that from the age of 5, your mum would say, I think you said she'd say, you don't go near dogs, or
well, it's just
told you.
But also, I would actually physically end up in hospital from being around animals because of it would affect my asthma and stuff.
But I just want you to consider, I mean, fabulous story, and I love it. And, I said that your brain can accept commands. How do we cry? Right? You were crying before, Sarah, because you thought about something. And you had a physical reaction. That's the same, is it not?
Yeah.
You were about in the house because you didn't know there was dogs, but there was hair under the sofa, and you were like allergic to our house, but you didn't even know.
Yeah, this is the thing that I've kind of gone round in circles with, because it's like, okay, is it a mental thing? But it's like, I've had allergic reactions being in a place where I didn't know there was had been pets,
and I'm
it's
not
like
disputing
physically
absolutely.
And I'd be like, oh wait, and I'd feel, and I'd be like, is there
absolutely.
dogs in here?
But were you saying at that point I haven't got an allergy?
What's that? Sorry,
but at that time you weren't.
Before.
Sorry.
And that's So
but then since then, I don't know. I just started saying,
but just because
I don't have allergies.
Just because you don't acknowledge something that you see doesn't mean that your brain doesn't pick it up. So I'll give you 2 examples of your brain just accepting commands. And just consider that your eyes are just let information into your brain. That's all they do. So you just consider, how many times have you said, Sarah, can't find my car keys, I don't know where they are. or
right in front
pass
of
me the
you.
salt or whatever. I can't see it. Right, I can't find it. And she goes, it's there, and it's right in front of you.
Yeah.
Right. So what's happened in that situation? Even though you could. You've said, I can't see it. So your brain goes, okay, it's not there then. But your eyes can see it because it's there. Right. But you've told yourself that you can't see it. So you don't see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so if you didn't see the dog hairs, but they are there, they will trigger the allergy because at that point you had an allergy. Does that make sense? Right. However, conversely, how many times have you been in the car and you've heard a song and you've thought, oh, I like this song. I know where that is. I know who it is. But you can't think of the name right there. But you go, I know who that is.
Yeah.
And then it can be an hour later, it could be the day later, and you go, Elton John.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, that was a song in the car. Right? And that's because you said, I know.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between the commands that you give your brain. So if you always have a positive command, and if you think you can't do something, you can go, I can't do this right now, but I will master it and I'll be able to do it in the future. And you always take it to a positive point of view, then your brain will look for a way to find that, as it always does. Because when you said, I know who's singing that song, all the time that you were doing other stuff and the day after, it's searching to find out because it knows that you know it.
Yeah.
Just to say, if anybody does have allergies, don't test this.
Yeah,
I mean,
of course,
from a health and safety perspective,
life-threatening.
Yeah,
guys.
no, we're not talking like big things, but things that aren't.
No, but
and obviously, please
Obviously.
don't test this.
Don't
go and eat a pack of peanuts, guys, if you've got a nut allergy.
Absolutely,
and say I haven't got
absolutely,
allergies.
100%
But it's really interesting what our brains can do.
And we don't know. And
but our brain, this is and I think this is the thing is, and it's all tied in because our brains, our brains are picking up information all the time, and we don't know it, but as we're getting older, we're creating a set of beliefs for ourselves, and some of them are positive, and some of them are limiting and negative.
Correct.
But the same way you've been able to learn it, you can unlearn it, or you can learn a new belief.
A new belief, yeah.
And it's just like that message in itself for people watching is like, I think that's powerful. And that's the first step of the journey of being like, okay, now I'm going to go and seek out,
find a better way.
What the way to do it is.
And I think there's a lot of people have said to me, but I've seen you do that. I've heard, I get the idea, but how can I do it? Because I'm not that person, and they might be different to me. Well, we've all done it in our lives. Don't lose sight of the fact that you had a best friend at school, and when you had that best friend at school, you just thought you were going to be with them forever, and then something happened and it changed, and you're no longer with them. You don't even think about them anymore, right? But you always thought you were going to be with them, right? So we've all done these things. We've all had a favorite TV show when we were a kid. You won't watch it now.
Yeah.
We had favorite meals that suddenly we were like, oh, I don't like that anymore. I like this instead.
Yeah.
So we've all got that ability. It's just that you've never possibly realised that you had that ability, and therefore you never tapped into it and realised your full potential.
Yeah, which is, I mean, it's life changing. This stuff, it really is life changing, and yeah, I mean, I love it because I've believed it for a long time. I didn't know specifically about like what you guys were doing and thinking about in terms of like phobias and anxiety and stuff, but even just in terms of my own life, like even sitting here doing this podcast, like this was once a thought, and I had to challenge limiting beliefs to think, okay, this is what I want to do with my future, and like writing things down and saying things out loud, even though you feel silly.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, you do feel silly. You feel silly. Like, do you know how silly I felt saying I didn't have allergies? Like, I felt I wouldn't even tell people around me.
Well, you used to say it about Sophie when we got that diagnosis.
Yeah.
You said you used to drive, and if people drove past in his car, they'd think he was a madman. But he was saying out loud, she's fine. She's going to live a long, healthy life. Or I think that's
I would
what you
say
said.
I would drive for half an hour, just absolutely out loud. Like people would think I was just a madman, but I was just like, I'm not accepting it. Like in that moment, like you were saying earlier, like that doctor said that and took away hope.
Yeah.
You know, we knew Sophie wasn't well, and she had a really.
Can I be really harsh and candid when you said this? And it does sound a bit awful, but what I feel you got there was almost like that that Sophie's life was waiting for her to die by what that was being said to you, as opposed to her living her life to live.
Yeah,
it was like she was almost like as there was a clock counting
but
backwards.
that's literally what happened in that moment. And
awful.
We went home and obviously processed it. And I don't know if it was like a day, 2 days, 3 days later. I just, everyone who came around to see us, looked at Sophie in a different way, and it was sad eyes.
Yeah.
They no longer pictured her future. They no longer saw her doing the things. All they saw was a child that wasn't going to be here much longer. And I just said, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. She is, and I want everyone to go back to envisaging her future, her life, her health. Like, stop limiting her because of what this has happened. And we had a lot of friction because we're both dealing with different emotions. I'm just saying, like, I'm refusing it, and Sarah's obviously almost grieving in that moment, and it was tough. And like, I remember even like having a conversation with your dad about,
well, it was like some doctor telling me your biggest fear is going to happen in 13 years, and I've got to sit and wait this clock of 13 years because I'm thinking, well, she's not going to be a teenager, so it's going to happen at 12 or 13. And I did struggle coming up to her 13th birthday.
I bet. But
yeah.
I hope now, though, that you can see that, doctors do get things wrong. Look, let's be honest, it wasn't done with malice, or you didn't mean to.
No.
She was a very very poorly child.
Yeah.
Like.
But like anything, you can have you can have two plants exactly the same, and you put one in soil that's in sunlight, that's well nourished and looked after, and it will grow better. You can have the very same plant and put it between rocks and weeds and put it in a dark spot, and it's going to struggle to thrive. You two have provided the best pot of nourishment and soil that your daughter can have, so of course she's going to flourish. I mean, it just complete. A doctor might be talking about somebody else, another experience of, same condition, different child, different environment. Nobody can predict. There is no time stamp on any of us. And Nick, it's a real bugbear for us. I really dislike that people say, they've got this long, they've got that. No, they're living every single day, and they're going to live the longest they possibly can with and like I said, for you two, it does not surprise me at all that your daughter is flourishing and that she's here and will be for much longer.
But I'm gonna quote a line from a movie here. One of my favourite movies, Dumb and Dumber. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah.
So he's obviously his age, and he says to her, Jim Carrey says to her, he says, "Look." She said, "Look, it's not going to happen," and he's like, "Come on, it's not going to happen."
Yeah, he really fancies it.
Is there any chance? Is there any chance of me and you getting together? And she's like, 1 in a million. So there's a chance. Yes. And that's where we've got to be. That's what we're going to take in life.
Yeah.
There's 1 in a million. We can be that one.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
That's the thing. We all need hope. Like,
that is you, though.
Through, yeah.
You are that person. You live like
I'll
that.
take that 1 in a million chance.
Yeah. No, but I think that's why I am how I am. As in, I could see that I could get better, and I wanted to be better, because I think had you been any bit more like me, oh God, I would have crumbled ages ago. But
I get
us traveling and the life we live, I always say it's because of you.
Yeah.
Because
no, and I've got to say the same about Nick, because I know that I was probably more like you when we met, but now I'm like, I'm sort of very happy-go-lucky now. Yeah. But that's, and it's such a, and you were saying about, the beliefs, the affirmations, etc. We like to sort of look at the world being like a mirror. So whatever you put out there reflects back at you, and that's where I think this positivity that you're talking about, with Sophie and with your allergies, and again, you must stress that's not something anybody should try, but because what you put out does eventually come back to you and reflects back, and that's what you reap that.
And the thing is, at the end of the day, we're all gonna, like, no one doesn't have any beliefs, right? So we're all gonna have beliefs, right? Yeah. So like, and we're all going to tell ourselves things in our heads. So like, why not change the narrative, or at least try? Why not? Do you know what I mean? You're going to
Yeah.
sit there and tell yourself this. So like, why not try and change
Absolutely.
it and just see what happens?
Yeah.
It's like Sarah was saying before, you're looking at things are going to go wrong, but what if it always went right? Because I'm looking at your life and hearing about your life story, right? It's going right. And right, and not, it's going fabulous.
Yeah.
Is it not?
Yeah. That's why I was always struggling with it, because
But
I'm
I
like, I have
understand.
an amazing life.
Yeah.
And I feel silly saying it because people
get
think,
it.
well, you've got like such a
But
great life.
because
But I love that you just said that's why
Past-
I was.
yeah, I love
Yeah.
that past tense. I don't know if you did that on purpose or if you just said it.
I do think.
Yeah,
I know.
it's a new you.
But I would like you to know. But now you understand why. You know, you understand because of your conditioning that what happened in your childhood and what you'd seen and observed and believed.
Yeah.
That's why you felt the way that you did. But I'm hoping that we've
Yeah.
changed that for you.
Amazing.
Somewhat, at least.
No, I mean, what an incredible episode this has been. Like,
I
absolutely
feel like we could
amazing.
have just talked for forever.
And I think, I know Sarah got something from this, and I am 100% sure that so many people watching this have walked away with something, and it will lead to a change in their lives. So
I hope so.
it's amazing what you guys are doing. Absolutely incredible work. And you're doing masterclasses all over the UK, which people can come to. And you also have your podcast. And is there, what's your website so people can just go and check out all the events and everything?
It's nickandeva.com. NIKANDEVA.com.
And we're
Perfect.
also on all social media at the Speakmans.
Amazing. Thank you so much for
No,
coming,
thank you.
guys.
Honestly,
We
you're both
really
amazing.
appreciate
Thank
it.
As
you.
you, we loved it. Thank
And
you.
we're looking forward to coming on your podcast one day soon. That will be amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Leave us a comment below. I'd love to know what you guys took away
We're
from
off
this.
on a cruise.
Yeah. yeah, there we go.
Can we go?
Yeah, let's all go. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Please subscribe, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye.